find a way.
Erica Vasquez, welcome to Tennessee.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
Here from the Windy City.
Yes,
Windy.
the cold, frigid, windy city of Chicago.
Yeah. We had a band that my wife loved, Marty Casey, and it's based out of Chicago. And so we would go up there, and we'd go up there to hear them play. But I've only been there during the summer.
Okay, that's a good
I've
thing.
only seen the best part of Chicago. It's beautiful.
Yes, it is beautiful. It's beautiful in the summer. It's definitely chilly right now.
Yeah.
Cold and windy.
Yeah. Well,
So
are you from that area?
Yeah, I've always been in the Chicago area. Grew up, I was born in the city of Chicago.
Okay.
And then made my way, I guess, slowly west a little bit I grew up in Oak Park, which is just outside of Chicago. Went to high school there, and then from there just kind of slowly moved a little bit more west throughout many of the suburbs. And so now I'm about 30 miles west of Chicago, right near Naperville.
Gotcha. Has the city changed over?
I used to spend more time in the city. I play volleyball, so I would spend time, at the beach, playing beach volleyball, and just enjoying the city, going to visit museums and walking, walking the Michigan Avenue shops, so doing all the shopping, Lakeshore Drive, driving. And it's changed a little bit. Now it's kind of, just with what's going on in the world in general as far as safety, it's unfortunate, but now you kind of need to think about what time are you going to be there and where are you going to be and who are you going to be with and making sure it's safe. So it's definitely a different feel overall than it used to be, but it's still beautiful and it's still, worth making trips out there. But traffic is and always has been an issue. So it's quite an ordeal. Like if anybody from the suburbs has to go to the city, it's like, oh gosh, well there's an hour each way for sure, even though it's literally probably, half an hour of driving otherwise. So
yeah. Huh. Well, I know that you are a very competitive volleyball player.
Yes.
Whole family's into volleyball. Did that start at a young
It did.
age?
And I started playing when I was in, middle school, and she coached me in my club team, and then I played in high school. And my son, who's 17, fell in love with it as well. I don't know, maybe about 7 years ago. And boys volleyball starts a little bit slower, or later, I should say, not slower, later. The girls get started these days when they're, 6 years old, and the boys start a little bit later. But it's picking up the boys volleyball, and he's great, and I love watching him. I still play it today.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. I coached soccer for a long time, and one of the indicators of success for players, like the players that seem to be our overachievers at the end of the day, all had one thing in common, and that's their parents loved the game. And I thought a lot about that, like why is that? And I think when a family, there's a lot of people that like the game and they like to watch their kids play, but they don't love the game.
Yeah.
And like I can tell a difference in families that truly love the game. It's like their perspective is different.
Yeah. I so look forward to watching him play, and it's good when, like as a parent who knows the game and plays the game, all the intricacies about, the different aspects of the game and the calls and the, the strategies and things like that. And I find a lot actually in talking to the other parents on his, on his club team, a lot of them have played volleyball as well.
Okay.
And it just seems like with boys, because again, I think volleyball traditionally has been more of a girls' sport, and it's definitely gaining popularity with boys, but I think a lot of the boys have gotten into it because their parents loved it or the parents played it, so it's kind of just like, it just fits.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of that. There's a lot of parent involvement in his club team, and it's great.
Yeah.
So it's a great experience.
Yeah. It seems like kids, watching them go through, like, you can just tell the ones that truly love the game go to a different level.
Oh,
And
gosh,
that's
yeah.
cool to see. I think it's a respect. I think it's a respect for the game is important. Like I think a lot of people look at youth sports and it's like it's all about their kid or themselves, and not so much about just the love of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes, to me as a coach, like that makes
Yeah.
all the difference.
Oh, gosh, when you have a whole team of kids that
Yeah.
feel the same way about it. I mean, they wake up, they live, breathe, you know, like in this case, volleyball. It's his life. It's
Yeah.
what he does if he's not at school and he's not sleeping. He's playing volleyball or talking about volleyball or looking at volleyball videos or making volleyball
Yeah.
videos. It's you know, it's the love of it. And that's,
Can you still take him?
he's passed me.
Ah.
Yeah, he has surpassed me.
Yeah. It's hard.
We still play together. I get him to come with me sometimes, but you know, I'm his mom. I'm not cool enough to play with anymore. But it's funny. We went through levels as he, you know, he'd be like, "Mom, I'm totally better at you right now," and I'm like, "Nah," like I'm still better at setting than you. And then a year later, I'm like, "Okay, I give that to you. You're better at me at that too. Now he's better than me at everything. Every aspect of the game, he's better at me." So, but it makes me happy.
Volleyball you can't adjust the rules. So in soccer you can make the field smaller. So as I've gotten older, I've just made the field smaller. And then
It's less of an advantage to have the youth and
It's
the
an equal.
speed
It's less about the legs and more about the brain.
Yes.
And so
that's smart.
you can't do that. Can't do that in volleyball. You
Not
can't.
so much.
It is another advantage of pickleball though. Like,
Yeah.
that small courts
True.
favors the
Okay.
wise.
We've got ping pong too. He and I play ping pong, and
Yeah.
in that case, you know, we're limited.
Yeah.
The physical part of
Yeah.
it isn't as much as the, you know, the
Yeah.
other aspects of it. So that's fun too.
So are you competitive? Are you just naturally competitive, or is it just volleyball?
Gosh, no. If you asked my family and friends, I'm super competitive. I think it just runs in my family. It's like in our blood.
Yeah.
My brothers, my dad, my mom.
Yeah.
I mean, we just all are, and I'm probably at the, you know, higher level of competitiveness.
So is that from the beginning? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
As a
know.
kid, you
Yeah.
sought it out.
I enjoy competition. I enjoy challenges. I enjoy trying to do my best. I enjoy getting better at things, learning. You know, it's all kind of ties into I think my high school motto is, you know, always do your best. And that's just what's deep within me. So it carries through in everything. Playing board games, like it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. Comes out, huh?
Yeah.
I think I've coached a lot of. I started my career coaching mostly men, and then I shifted, and the last 10 years has been, I guess, probably mostly girls. And I think the thing that separates the top performers in female sports is that next level of competitiveness. I don't know how to explain it, but female athletes with that competitive bite have another level, and I don't see that distinction as much in But it's coaching girls. I've really come to value that competitive edge, but I'm also aware how it seems like it's harder for girls to show that.
Okay.
Because I think, like, referees, for example, in soccer, if there's a hyper-competitive female that's aggressive, they will tamp that down. And the other parents are, like, really critical of super competitive girls for some reason. I don't see in the boys' games. Did you, when you were growing up, did you ever feel like you were ostracized or it was hard to be competitive?
You know, I would say that I was a little bit, it's hard to say because I think when I was younger, I was less competitive. I think it's kind of, I've always have been competitive, but it's really kicked up a notch. I think as an adult, really when my son was born, it just kind of changed me in a way. So I was a little bit more quiet back then. I wasn't that, you know, like,
Right.
I kind of am now. I am like that now. But I've seen it in the volleyball community, and watching these competitive girls teams. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, people kind of do one of those, like,
Yeah.
tone that down a little bit, or,
Yeah.
like, she's
Yeah.
too hardcore, or, it's whatever. And with boys, you see it, and, you see a lot of the boys that might, challenge the ref, or, and it's
That competitiveness comes out.
like,
Right.
that's
right.
my boy, or whatever,
Right.
So I definitely
Yeah.
agree with you. There's a difference there.
Yeah, I've been really keenly aware of that coaching girls, and it's interesting to me because in some ways I feel like competitiveness is so it's so important. We've done like personality tests on different our franchise locations. High achievers, there's a common competitiveness is an indicator of success.
Yeah.
And like it bothers me when that's like clip girls' wings, when they're afraid to be competitive. I know, like Anson Dorrance is the legend of coaching women, and he coached Mia Hamm, and he wrote a couple books on it, and he said the real challenge with Mia is that she was so much better than everyone else, and it was convincing her that it was okay to be better than her teammates.
Yeah, because it's like you don't want to be the one that necessarily stands out, and you don't want people to think that you think you're better than others, and and it is about the team. I mean, team sports it isn't an individual player. However, there can be, and there always is, individual players with different strengths that help the team overall. But yeah, I could see that could be challenging.
Yeah. I've been on a lot of teams, and I've never had that dynamic with men.
You probably see it firsthand. I mean, coaching both, males and females, and seeing the differences firsthand. But I'm not surprised. I think with females too, a lot of it is the social part of it, within the team. And I feel like in general, females really want to get along with and be friendly with, like it matters more to a female than it would maybe to a male, know. So if you've got, one girl that is just so much better, that girl is not going to want to, she's going to want to play it down to socially, fit with the team and not, make anybody feel bad. Or, I think that happens a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's the cultural, the cultural stuff and the cultural baggage that we have to work through. But I think sports are it's a great way to work through that sort of stuff. Like where else in society do you learn? Does a young female learn to spread her wings? It's okay to be competitive and get rewarded for that competitiveness.
And it can help you and your teammates, and give others something to strive for. See, it's okay. Good things come of it. I love sports.
So how did that? I'm curious about in your career, like you finish school, you go into a career. What were your dreams?
I mean, I know I wanted to be successful. I wanted to, be independent, responsible, take care of myself. I didn't want to count on anybody else to, take care of me. So I've always been really independent. And I think, that's just something my parents taught me when I was young is, I guess, make sure that you can provide for yourself. And in this case, my child, because, my son's father and I got divorced when he was 3 years old. So, I was going to need to provide for my son and I. And I was working even before, he was born. But I think for me, it's just always been that drive. Like nobody else is going to do this for me. Nobody else is going to make sure that, I'm taken care of, and my son is taken care of. So it's just always been a non-question. I need to do well. I need to, and it's the doing your best thing. I know I'm not the smartest person, and I probably don't have, in any of my jobs in my career, I'm sure I didn't meet all the on paper qualifications, to do a certain role. But what I do have, and what, I think others that have worked with me have experienced, is that I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm not going to do anything halfway, and I'm not going to let anybody down. And, so I think those things, it's more of just who I am, versus, the school knowledge or the on paper knowledge and things like that. It's just, again, it goes back to the doing your best, and reliability, I think, is huge too.
Yeah.
So, accountability.
Yeah. Reliability is a very undervalued quality. There's so many, you look at different talents, but at the end of the day, I'm not so sure that reliability and persistence aren't the greatest strengths. I would choose them over other talents every day. Right?
Yeah, knowing you can count on somebody. If they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. It's just, it's all ties into trust, I feel like. And trust, as we know, in any relationship, work or personal, is hugely important.
Yeah.
So
that independent streak, is that something you think is your personality, or did your parents do anything intentional to nurture that?
I don't know. I guess I could say I'm definitely, in my family life, it wasn't like I can't say that I was spoiled, so I didn't just have things given to me, or, my friends may have gotten these privileges or gotten these gifts or whatever it may be, what they wanted. And for me, I wasn't raised that way. So I appreciate that now. I didn't then, of course, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And my friends were getting this for Christmas or that, or getting to do this and go on this trip or stay up, till midnight or whatever it was. And I, was very stuck into, this is what it is. And I didn't really have any other expectations, but I think it's just more of, I've never been used to somebody just giving me things or, taking it to a level that was, outside of kind of an average or a norm.
Yeah.
So I think that helped.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've always wanted to have the capacity to stand on your own 2 feet and not depend on
definitely.
others. Yeah. Well, so in terms of your career, tell me about how your career started. How you went from, as kids, our sport is our career until it's not. And then we have to, hopefully we transition those things.
Well, it's an interesting start. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to college out of high school. I was kind of feeling just done with school. I did well in school, but I just wasn't really feeling it. So I started just going to community college for a little bit. And I really didn't want to do that. I wasn't even quite sure what I wanted to do with my life as far as a career is concerned. So I was going, and it just wasn't what I was into. And again, if I'm not into it, it's hard to want to do my best. And so it's like the two things are kind of guides, So what I really was interested in was being around children. So I wanted to, become a teacher, or at least work with kids in some way. So I started working at a daycare center. That was my first job out of high school.
Wow.
And I was a teacher's assistant. I was working with the 2, 3, and 4-year-olds. And I loved it. It was great. I loved being with the kids. I loved everything about it. It was great. Until one day, I was 2 years in, and I was thinking about getting, my teacher certificate to become a lead teacher at the center. And then one of the teachers that was there for, I don't know, maybe 20 years, had disclosed how much money she made. And once I heard that, I'm like, oh no, I can't, I can't, again, it's back to that, I can't support myself, unfortunately, as much as I love it. I just for my future. And I didn't have my son obviously at that point, but that was like heartbreaking to me. I'm like, this isn't going to be able to be what I want to do. I mean, yes, I could have probably explored an actual teaching degree and done, a elementary or high school, but I loved the little kids. I loved that age range, and that's daycare. So, so then I had to pivot quickly because I needed to get on track to go somewhere. So
you're in your early 20s at this point?
Yeah, 19, 20.
Yeah.
And so I decided to get, an office job. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I went to a temp agency, and they sent me on my first job in an office, and they hired me, offered me a position a few months later, and I stayed there. And so from there, it just kind of moved along. I started off being in customer service for a manufacturer, and then kind of just moved through different positions with that. I was with them for a while, and then I've moved on to different companies, but always within the supply chain customer service area. I did a whole lot of different roles within that space: supply planning, demand planning, account management, all kinds of sourcing.
And you just earned your way into those positions.
Yes. I didn't go to school. A lot of the positions had requirements for degrees, and that's what I was saying. I'm like, I just had to prove myself through my work and my effort and, I guess my output. So I just worked my way through different positions, and eventually became, from what, in my perspective, successful. But I wasn't enjoying it. So it paid the bills. It did, I was comfortable. I didn't have to worry about money. I was, we were set. It was good. Yeah. But I just really, unfortunately, wasn't looking forward to every day, going to work and doing it for 20-ish years, 20 plus years. I was like, okay, I'm ready to do something that I love. And so, long story short, now here I am.
Yeah.
So,
So it's interesting to me that you say you were comfortable. There was stability. The income was good. It sounds like you had challenging roles.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough.
Right. Yeah.
I'm wondering how much of that is the competitiveness, because most people would see that situation and think, that's a pretty good gig.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was. And so, it was a tough, obviously there were years and years of me thinking through, what I was doing, and I love the people I work with. That was part of it too. I mean, my managers, I honestly have never had a manager that I didn't enjoy working for, even when I left. It's hard to leave, a good group of people that you work with and great managers and great leadership and things like that, because that was never an issue. But it was just, am I enjoying my day-to-day? No. So,
Right.
yeah, it was just time to start exploring what else I could do.
I'm curious, because that's a big step for people. Like, there's a lot of people that don't enjoy the day-to-day. They don't know why, or they don't make that next step. At what point did you realize, like, I'm not content doing this, even though there's stability, even though the income's good?
I mean, I guess I had felt it for a while, and that's partially why I would, I would change my role every few years. I personally just enjoy change, variety, things like that. So new challenges. So, I would be doing my role, and then 2 to 3 years, I'd be like, okay, I'm ready for something new or something different. But I think really during COVID, I liked going to the office and seeing people, and talking to people. I mean, that was part of the social part of it. Not that I'm a big talker. I'm really actually not that. I'm more on the quiet side, I would say, but just the little, the little chit chat every now and then, or, going to somebody to lunch, or it's that social part of it. Once COVID came around, it was obviously great. A lot of people enjoy saving on the commute and, a little bit more sleep, not having to get up as early to get ready to go into the office. And there are definitely benefits, but I really, during that time, just kind of like, I'm just not, that I think that lack of the social part just kind of drove a final, nail into the coffin, you would say.
Yeah. I think it also gave people time to step back and kind of reevaluate their life. Some quiet space to practice some self-awareness. And I know in my 30s, I just changed. Like, you change a lot. Like, you're different in your 30s than you are in your 20s.
Oh yeah.
Like, what got me excited in my 20s, and I did not enjoy as much in my 30s. Different in my 40s.
Yeah. It's always changing.
Yeah. But to have that courage to change with that. Is I don't think it's normal. I think people get.
It's hard to. It was a long it's not like one day I said, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do this. It was, okay, I need to do something. And then from there on, it was a period of time to figure out what the right next move is for me.
And you also had a successful career financially that allowed you probably to take some risks.
Yes. Yeah. Saving money and that allowed me to get to where I was at. I mean, I used to actually, what I really wanted to do in the past was a real estate agent. I've always been interested in real estate. Yeah. It's just always deep down. I've always been interested. I'm always on, this Redfin and Zillow and all that stuff. Looked just curious about what's going on and, but that was something that I looked into a while back, but it's something where I wasn't financially ready to take that risk, or I couldn't, because, in that position, you don't start making money. The day you make that transition, it's a slow buildup, over years. Yeah. And I wasn't ready to do that at the time, so I didn't really have a choice but to keep, just chugging along at my corporate job and getting to the point where I could.
So, do you remember the day that you quit the corporate job?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. It was a bittersweet feeling. It was scary. Yeah. It was exciting and sad a little bit at the same time. It was a total mix of feelings, and a lot of the sadness was around, just leaving the people that I really enjoyed working with at that moment. The people that were in my day-to-day then. Just gathering all my stuff. That's when you leave a job, you gather all your stuff, and you're like, okay, here it is. But here it was for this reason, like, wow, I'm going to do my own thing now. So that was such it was so exciting. Yeah. So it was definitely a mixed.
Well, it takes a lot of self-belief, right? At the end of the day, like, when you leave the stability of that, like, you're at the end of the day trusting yourself.
Yes, 100%. It's like having the confidence in yourself that you feel good about it. I mean, I know I did a lot of research. I took my time to decide before actually making the move to do it. So I was at a point where I did feel comfortable, confident, and like, okay, it's on me. But I trust myself to be able to make it work. I'm not gonna just fade away into the nothingness or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's not gonna happen. So it's I'm gonna do what I need to do. So so it's good you need that.
Yeah, but it's you believed in yourself.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, like,
Yeah.
You can't make that move without some
Yeah.
self-belief.
And the research, just getting into it, and obviously with this venture, it's having spoken to you and the team and everybody here and the other people, the other franchisees, and I had to take a lot in and think about it and feel good about it before doing it. So it was a really good experience.
So you jump into flipping houses. I'm assuming that you are not a skilled carpenter.
I am not.
I don't recall you mentioning that part of your career.
No, I am not. That is for sure.
Was that daunting?
Yeah, it's because it's going into something where, I guess you'd say the main part of what flipping is the construction part of it. So, going into something where that big piece of it is not something that I have, the technical expertise on. Do I understand general concepts? Sure. Because I've done stuff on my own houses, or I've, had work done on my own houses. But yeah, definitely. I know that there's no way I could buy a house and go into it myself and do what I need to do there's no way. Like I don't have that knowledge. So that part of it, knowing that I would have to rely on somebody else to help, it's not like I'm on my own.
So what did you have confidence in? Like going into it, knowing that you didn't have the technical skills, which a lot of people don't. What did you feel confident about?
I feel confident in just, I guess personally, my knowledge of real estate. I'm not an agent, but I feel like I am without being one in a way. I don't have all the, knowledge that they have necessarily, but I feel pretty comfortable with it though, so understanding, valuation and markets and things like that is comfortable to me. The part that I wasn't comfortable on is, the budget for construction and the actual construction. And that's where, I felt comfortable knowing that there's a team with New Again, that can help me with that. And when I tell people about what I'm doing, I have to explain, there's a whole team of people at the home office that I can lean on that has, can help me. I can take pictures and videos and work through, what my numbers are and have somebody look it over and tell me, am I missing something obvious, or should I make adjustments here, make adjustments there? So I think that definitely filled in, the gap of where I, am not comfortable. So that made me feel good, as I'm on my own, but I'm not really on my own. That's kind of how I say it to my friends. I'm doing this. Yeah, it's just me, but I don't feel alone in any way.
Yeah.
The support's there. So.
Yeah. Well, you just finished your first project.
Yes. Yay.
Tell me, talk to me about going into that very first flip project, because a lot of people watch HGTV. They think, oh man, it's just a 30-minute project. If you get behind, you just push a button and all the contractors come from all over town and fix it all up at the in time for the credits, right?
Yes.
So here you are, you've given up the stability of your corporate job. You've got your first project. It's just you, right? Just Erica.
Yeah.
And the support team, but on the ground, it's you.
Yeah.
So tell me what was the hardest?
Once I had the property, I would say the hardest thing was getting started. I had found a contractor that I didn't have any prior experience with. So I was trusting, I guess sources from my neighborhood. I had found him on Nextdoor actually on the app. So I was basing what I found off of recommendations of other, people that just live in my neighborhood. So I think that knowing that I'm not familiar with the construction part of it, to me that was the biggest, scariest, most important first step is finding the contractor that I can trust, that's going to do a good job, because obviously quality is important to me and my business. And, you know, I guess I don't want to have a negative, you know, I don't want people to think negatively, you know, you get the New Again houses signed in the yard, but that work didn't come out good, or, you know, like that. So there's a lot around, I think, around the contractor piece that really made me nervous. So it was the getting started. I didn't get started like, you know, I didn't buy it and then get started the next day or anything. And I had a little bit of time to find the right person.
Right.
But
so how did you, I would imagine that your like independent streak, and not wanting to be dependent on someone else with a contractor relationship, especially being in your position where you don't have those skills. How hard was it to find that balance between trusting the contractor but not becoming dependent on the contractor? I'm curious how you managed that.
Yeah, it was difficult. I was there. I would say that there was just a lot of communication, especially up front and throughout the project. But his goals and my goals were similar. He's in a similar situation where he, you know, has worked for somebody else his whole career, and he was just starting his own contracting business.
Yeah.
So he is hungry. I'm hungry. We both want to do quality work. We both know that, you know, the quality of the work is gonna, you know, we need that. We need the positive feedback. We don't want any negativity on either of our companies. So, you know, he's got a family to take care of. So it was just a lot of, you know, just a lot of indicators that made me feel like, okay, he's, you know, he promised he's going to be at my job every day. You know, he's not going to take on any other jobs while he's doing mine, because he wanted it done fast too, and I wanted it. So we had a lot of the same goals: quality, speed. I mean, we helped one another so much throughout. I would say, you know, he'd help me out if there was something that came up that we weren't expecting, or you know, I generally try to get the materials to the, you know, to the site, but if he were working on something and you know, he just needed to go grab, he would go do that. You know, it was very much we've helped one another along the way. So, so yeah, I think we were both dependent on each other, but also, you know, I don't know, it's hard to describe, an independence with a dependency on each other kind of a thing.
Yeah, a mutual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A partnership.
Yeah, a true collaboration.
Yeah.
I found that people that develop skills in other careers and then they bring them to a new business, they sometimes like diminish those skills. Like they don't recognize the skills that they've built in other careers, and they kind of minimize it and overlook it. But what you just described is like there's a lot of communication to get to do what you just described. Like get a contractor on the same page, establish a vision for the relationship, like a structure for a vision for how the project is going to go.
Yeah.
Agreement, alignment on incentives and aligning interests. Like you kind of skip through all that, like that was easy for you, but that's none of that's easy, right? So I'm curious, like what in your previous career, what do you think you drew on? Like which of those skills did you draw on to make this project so successful?
I think it goes back to the reliability. You know, I guess I would hold him accountable, and he had self-accountability. I didn't really need to do much to, you know, we had set, you know, weekly, I guess a weekly timeline. So what would he get done each week? and he would get paid every week based on what he did for that. Did he do what he said he was going to do? Yes, and most of the time he was ahead of schedule, so that wasn't even really an issue. But again, I think reliability and communication is huge. So he really just he was just great with that. So I didn't.
Yeah.
It made it. I think again, just having a similar drive and standards.
Yeah.
I think that we were just very aligned, and he is looking forward to doing the next project with me, and I'm looking forward to keeping work, getting work for him. So, it was a really good experience.
Yeah. And you enjoyed it?
I did. I loved it. Yeah. And it's so fun to see that the end result and see it all have come together, just exactly how I kind of envisioned it from the beginning.
Yeah.
So to get that first one and see like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I did this. We did this. It's a great feeling.
You can actually touch it. It's a tangible thing.
It's there. It's in pictures too. It's not going anywhere. Like it is done.
Document it. Yeah, for history.
It's for real.
Yeah. There's so many jobs. You work really hard, and they're challenging in their own ways. But at the end of the day, you don't really have anything tangible.
Exactly, to show for it.
To hold.
Yeah,
that's the magical part.
That's what I'm definitely a results-oriented person. Like that's what drives me. So I think that's part of why I find this so enjoyable, is because at the end of the day, okay, here it is. It's done. It's how I want it. So I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good experience.
Did it? Were there points in the project? Like, how long did the project take?
From start to finish, it was about I'd say 3 months.
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic.
Yeah.
What was your construction budget?
$42,000.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of a smaller, but perfect to start with.
Yeah. That's
really
manageable. That's a manageable, but challenging.
Yeah.
Right, like 3-month construction project on the first one.
Yeah.
That's challenging. Were there points where you ran into any adversity or places where you had to really push through?
I'm trying to think of what the best example of that is. I feel like just maybe just the materials management. It's definitely somewhere I know I can do a better job on. I know it'd be ideal, and I should have most of it there at the beginning, you know. And I wasn't, I guess, I wasn't, I don't know if I didn't, I don't know what the word is, what I was missing, but I wasn't planned out that far ahead. I knew what I wanted, but did I pick out the exact, floor that I wanted? No, not until, before. And the cabinets, I knew what I wanted, but I didn't pick that out until, needed. At least at the end of the day, I mean, he had everything before he needed it. So, but I probably spent more time doing it in pieces versus had I just done it all at the beginning. So I would just, the next time, I think that's definitely going to be one of my goals, is to try and be better at that, because it took up more of my time throughout, the project by doing that separately. Whereas if I would have just spent, however long, I'm not sure how long it takes altogether, but
the materials can, some people look at the materials as just a number on a spreadsheet, right? And that's simple enough, but it's not, because in a lot of ways on that project, it's the tail that wags the dog, right? Like, if you don't get the right materials to the right place at the right time, now you've got labor sitting. And that's where it really costs money. So it's not necessarily about the cost of the materials. It's about the ripple effects from not having it.
Right. And that was it, and that was my goal too, because he had, he told me he's focusing on my job, so I couldn't possibly let him then not have work to do. And he's told me I'm dedicating my time, this time frame to you and your job, so I can't let him down and say, well, yeah, you're gonna have to wait a couple days, because I couldn't do that. I didn't do that. But I definitely could have been better with it, just to have it there at the beginning.
Well, if that's your biggest regret on your first project.
Yeah, it was pretty smooth.
Yeah.
It was good.
Did you feel like you developed, like you found any kind of leadership skills through this project that maybe you didn't realize you had? I guess I've always had a hard time with, I guess, giving anybody negative feedback, or I should say not positive feedback. Doesn't necessarily have to be negative. But, I like to, it's hard for me to come down on somebody or correct somebody. So, and there really wasn't much I had to say for him. There was a couple areas at the end, after he was done, that I went in and I'm like, oh, can you, this should be like this, or this needs to be fixed. And that was hard for me, saying, this part needs to be redone. And there wasn't much, but there was things that were, bothered me enough that I felt that I needed to say something, because I needed it to be, the way I wanted it, or the way that, it should be, or whatever. So that was hard for me to do. I remember when I saw a few things, I was looking at him like, okay, I need to do this. He's been so great. I don't want to make him feel bad. It's just all of these things through my head that I'm not good at, or I haven't been good at. So, it went fine. I probably overthought it way too much. But you did it.
I did it. Yeah.
And it must have worked.
It worked. Yeah. He happily corrected the things, and it was completely fine. But that's something I'm not good at.
Did you feel like you figured out how to do that and also be consistent with who you are?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way I went about it was, I'm in general a friendly person, so I feel like I, delivered the message, or made the request, as nicely as I could, I guess you would say, but with, also getting the fact through that it does need to be fixed.
Yeah.
Or it does need to be changed.
I think, like, managing a project like that, especially being, I think, a female and without that experience, like, you really have to figure out how to lead and lead people with more technical skill than you.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, that sounds like that's not easy. That's not easy.
It's not.
And then do that and stay true to yourself. I think a lot of people, they read leadership books and stuff, and they try to emulate other people. Like, you couldn't lead like a gruff construction supervisor.
Right.
Right? Like, you had to stay true to Erica.
Yeah. So I had to get somebody that I could work with, and that was part of the, I couldn't, I guess if I did have to work with somebody that was like that, that would be, I would need to work on some self-development myself to be able to handle that.
So you found a partner that fit who you were.
Yeah, respectful and absolutely, just he was a great fit in every way. So that helped.
Yeah.
So as long as that'll make things easier. If, there's always going to be, though, there could be a subcontractor, there could be somebody else that you don't.
But I don't think that's luck. Like, I would suspect that you've had a lot more experience than you give yourself credit for identifying, like, good quality people. You probably have instincts for that.
Yeah, I think so. I think, I mean, I had a contractor that worked on, a personal house of mine, and I thought, highly of him, and he turned out to not be.
Yeah.
So I was definitely a little bit more thorough in my research, I guess I would say, for this contractor, knowing that I had kind of trusted this other contractor, and it turned out he turned out to not be honest necessarily. And so that was definitely a wake-up call, and I think that probably happens to a lot of people doing this, so that just made me learn this time around. I did more research. I called his references.
Okay.
I was a little bit more hesitant and not as trusting as I was, on the past.
Yeah.
So I think everything definitely is, you got to take you got to learn something from any mistakes or anything that's been done in the past. Because it makes a difference. Every little thing you learn, you incorporate that into the next experience to get it to where it needs to be. So, yeah, that was definitely a learning experience too.
Yeah. So the house, I mean, finishing that project on time on your first one.
Yeah.
That's a like, you should be really
exciting.
Proud. You should be really proud of that. The first one's usually the hardest.
Yeah.
Thank you. What did you like most about the finished product?
Honestly, I think the staging was huge.
Yeah.
I was happy with the house, as it was finished empty. And then, I wasn't going to do the staging. I didn't budget for staging. I wasn't planning on doing staging. But, I was talking to, some folks here and they highly recommended the staging, and I thought about it. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I did some research. I have never used a staging company before. So that was, I had to find somebody that would be a good fit for me. And they came in, and when they left, I was just in awe. Like,
amazing,
oh
right?
my gosh, this place looks great.
I think those of us who choose to flip houses and invest in real estate, like, we see what can be, right? Rather than what is.
Yeah.
And I think I found myself projecting that on everybody else. Like, I think everybody sees an old house or what I can see, or see it with furniture. Like, we're just wired that way.
Yeah.
But the general population is not. Yeah. They see what is.
Yeah.
When it comes to a house.
I think I might be a see it as it is, because I mean, although yes, the house looked the way I wanted it to, but it is hard for me. I think I'm one of those people, because it was just such a dramatic change to me once that was in there. Like, I was sending pictures to my mom and dad, like, look at this. Like, it was cool to see. And the first house I did is a smaller house. So I think, staging that, even myself looking at the space, I'm like, oh, it looks great, but it's so small. But then the furniture is in there, and the decor and what, it doesn't look so small anymore. It's perfect. It's a perfect fit. And so that was probably the most transformative, exciting, the very finishing touch on it.
You put it on the market?
Yes, on the market.
And it sells pretty quickly.
It went under contract I got multiple offers within 2 days of listing it. So it was, and they were all above list price. Yeah. So I was ecstatic about that too.
Yeah.
So that was exciting.
That is another cool part about having your own business, is there's a test. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so much of working in a corporate environment, there's no real scoreboard.
Yeah.
But then this, that competitive streak.
Yes. Feels great.
Yeah. I mean, you win.
Feels great to have a win.
Yeah. You win.
Yeah. Yep. It's a great feeling, especially for somebody who's really competitive. Yes.
Yeah. Well, so looking ahead, what's next?
I'm looking for my next house right now. Yeah. I feel like because I ideally want to have multiple going at the same time, at least two at the same time right now. But I think for me, getting through this first one was my goal, my priority. And I probably should have been doing a better job at looking for my next one while this one was going on. And I think I will. That's another thing I can do to, another improvement I need to make in the future. But I'm really, it's my first, I'm going to give myself some, a little pass. It's my first one. It's completely different than anything I've ever done in my life. And, it turned out great, and it's a win. So I'm happy about that. And I'm going to be hyper focused on, getting my next one bought. So hopefully we can just repeat and keep it going, keep it building. And that's my goal. So I've got to do it.
Yeah. Well, the competitive streak will not go away.
It will not. No, it will not. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the next one.
No regrets about. You don't ever wake up and miss going into the
Absolutely
office.
Not. 100%. I do not. I miss the people, and that's about it.
I think back to those days, and I thought I would miss it so much, and I didn't not enjoy it. But if someone drug me back to that office now, I feel like they were taking me.
That would be so sad.
Taking me to prison or something.
That would be like a stake in the heart. It would just be really, really difficult. So I haven't really put that as an option in my head. That's not an option. If it's an option, you're like, well, if it doesn't work, I can do it. No, it's not even an option.
I think your courage to leave that job and burn the boats. I think that almost enforces success. It almost enables success, because when you burn the boats,
here I am.
You're gonna find a way to succeed, right?
That's honestly why I couldn't have done it part-time. It crossed my mind. But I know how I am, and I need motivation. And if I know I have something to fall back on, then I'm not going to do what I need to do to make this work. And that's just how I am. I need like a push. I need something to make me do it. Otherwise, I just, I could be a procrastinator for sure. That's me. That is me. I'm not great at planning for the future. I can that can wait. I can wait till the last minute. That's me. And I just know if I would have stayed in my regular, and I know some people can do it, and I give them so much credit that they can push themselves while they don't absolutely need to, but I need the push. So I gave it to myself.
Yeah, I think most of us do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, gosh, Erica, congratulations.
Thank you.
On the project. Congratulations on the new chapter.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited.
And keep feeding that competitive drive.
Yeah, I will. And thank you for your support. And the team has been so amazing. So it's been what I was told it would be and what I expected it to be. So I'm so happy.
That's great.
You have a great team.
Thanks again.
Okay, thank you.